Hello, everyone. Just going to wait for a few seconds and let Facebook and YouTube see this and start putting out the notifications and putting that into the news feed. Just wait for a few seconds for a few people to come on. I know there's a few people that have said they're going to be joining us and watching this live. Very, very happy to have our guest with us tonight, Lew Angeles. Now, he is with the Recruitment Alliance that we're aligned with, Global Talent, or GTIO. So we're going to cover off three really important topics tonight, and that is CV, cover letter, and targeting the right job and how to do that. Okay, so get those notepads and pens and whatever you're going to take down some notes on, and take those notes down as we go through this live. There'll be a few pointers in here from Lew, and also get those questions. If you're going to have some questions, what you need to do, if you haven't joined us live before, we are going live using StreamYard. Now, in the comments section here, if you look, there is a link, streamyard.com/Facebook. Now, if you wanted to comment or ask some questions and you haven't been on here before, click on that link and give permission for StreamYard to see your Facebook profile and your questions, because it's the only way I'm going to be able to see your questions and comments, okay? If you have clicked on that StreamYard link before, you don't have to do it again, okay? So, one moment, I'm just going to bring on our special guest, Lew Angeles. Welcome, Lew. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and just giving us a lot to think about for people out there that are looking for jobs, that getting into the IT software industry. So welcome.
Right. Thanks, Carla. It's nice to be here tonight with you in your Facebook Live session.
Awesome, fantastic. So like I've already just shared, Lew, you're going to be going over three topics tonight. It's the CV, professional CV, what you put in that, what does it look like? And then cover letter, what to actually put in your cover letter, and then targeting the right job for you. Is that correct?
Yes,
wonderful.
Carla, that's correct.
Okay. So let's just kick it off. Let's just do it. We're going to do a bit of screen sharing, everyone, because Lew's got something to share as he's having a conversation. He's going to share our the CV, the cover letter, etc. He's going to share what that looks like, so you have a visual as well, not just someone talking. So he's going to share his screen. So just one moment.
Okay. So, yep. All right, so I hope everyone can see my screen. So what we're flashing right now is kind of a sample of what a professional CV looks like. So it is.
Lew, sorry for butting in. Sorry, I should ask this question to tell everyone. Just tell us a little bit about GTIO.
Sure. So Global Talent.io is a talent management company. So we are basically connected with our global network of employers worldwide. So we're focusing on areas such as New Zealand, Australia, Singapore, Hong Kong, UK, Ireland, and Canada. So we're partnering with the different companies from small, medium, and large enterprises. And we're kind of helping our people in our talent pipeline land jobs. So basically, those talent pipelines that would be endorsed or referred to us, we refer them to our network of employers, meaning they're the ones who are high achievers. They're the ones who are very much employable at this stage.
Wonderful. Awesome. Fantastic. Love what you guys do. Love what you guys do. So kick it off with the first topic of CVs.
Okay. So, Carla, it is very important to have a very wonderful CV because our CV is our representation of our application. So every time a recruiter posts a job, hundreds of applications come in. And the only way for recruiter to shortlist is by looking or having a quick look of the CV without even going through deeply on the details and whatnot. So it's very important that we have a very nice CV. At the first look, we have a very precise, very straightforward CV. So that's what I want to share with everyone right now. So I think you can see on your screen that it's a pretty simple CV. You don't see a lot of, you don't see a lot of image, you don't see a lot of picture. It's just your information. So what a CV should have is first your contact information, um, because that's that's how the recruiters or employers will reach out to us if in case they want or they're interested to hear more about our experience.
Mhm.
So you can see in this example it's very specific. Like there's 18 street name, suburb, Auckland. So you don't have to specify it that way. If you're worried about data privacy, if you're worried about someone going to your home because
Mm.
you're sharing your information in the public, that's fine. You can just indicate maybe your city and country. It's very important, especially at this point when global travel is restricted. A lot of recruiters are focusing on talents within their locality. So it's important that we indicate our information, contact information right there. And
Mm.
of course, the name. It's very important. We always suggest if you have a foreign name that's pretty difficult to pronounce, we suggest to have the English name equivalent. All right. It's for easy recall and for the recruiter to kind of refer to us easily.
Mm.
So if we have an English name, that's very much preferred.
Right.
And
Just one more. Can I ask a
hmm,
question? You've got at the top there, obviously, with your details, and you've got the address and everything. You've also got blog and GitHub and LinkedIn. Just elaborate a little bit on that area.
yep. So in the IT world, basically, these things are important. You gotta show how techy you are.
Mm.
So you can put in your portfolio in there. If you have your blog to share, if your well, of course, LinkedIn profile is pretty much like it's important as your CV
Mm.
because recruiters, when they want valid information, if they see your CV, they quickly look you up in LinkedIn and search if information or accurate information are correct.
Mm.
So it's good that you have those hyperlinks in there. Okay,
Right.
but you can see Carla, they're simple hyperlinks instead of the entire URL because throughout my recruiting experience, I've seen a lot of CVs indicating the entire URL, like the
Mm.
HTTPS colon slash slash, and then
Mm.
the URL. It kind of makes your CV look a little bit um,
Messy?
messy. So it's important to kind of name the URL. There's a way to do that when
Mm.
in Microsoft Word or in Microsoft PowerPoint. So yep,
Yeah.
that's the way to go
Just
for
hyperlink those
indicating.
areas. Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
Right.
Yeah. And then it's good to have a little bit of summary about yourself. So the summary talks about yourself, and it should talk about briefly about your skills. If you're a software developer, you can indicate there the programming language that you're familiar of, you're comfortable with, and you can also talk about the length of experience briefly that you have. You don't have to kind of detail everything because that should be part of the employment history part, which we will be discussing or touching on later. Okay,
Right.
so
That
yeah,
with that paragraph, what is the maximum lines that you should put there?
good question, Carla. So I would suggest to have a maximum of 3 to 5 sentences. You don't want to make it too wordy because
Mm.
it kind of intimidates the reader. Like recruiters or employers who are going through the CV, sifting through the CV, they're going through a lot of CV. So you don't want to intimidate them by doing a very huge summary, like 10 sentences summary. You want to make it short. Anyways, you're going to talk about in details in the
Mm.
following parts of the CV.
So I always think that part, that paragraph is like when you're walking into a room and you introduce yourself.
Right, right,
It's
right.
like a look of reaching out to someone and shaking their hand. Hi, I'm Carla Montgomery, da 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 da.
Good
It's how I
example.
look at it like that. Would that be a good way to look at that?
Yep, it's a very good example, Carla. Right, when
Mm.
when you get inside a room and introduce yourself, you don't talk about things in details, right? Instead, you just give an overview of who you are, what you do. That's exactly what the summary should be.
Right.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah. So after the summary part, you can either go to education or technical experience. Now, if you're fresh out of the university and don't have much experience yet, don't have much exposure yet, I would suggest to indicate the education first.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're fresh out of the university, you want to highlight something that you've done for a long time. So because probably in the university you've had a lot of projects, collaborations with different teammates or different schoolmates on a specific project, you want to highlight that part in the education. But if you're somebody with a good number of years of experience, you can go ahead and proceed with highlighting your technical expertise or technical skills. Like in our example here, it is a software developer CV. So the person is talking about his technical experience on .NET framework, the databases that he is familiar of,
Mm-hmm.
web technologies, and the tools or libraries that he has exposure on. Yeah, so basically, that's the suggestion if you have enough exposure. Yeah.
Okay. So in the technical expertise side, that's more of the exposure within a job. Is that what you're saying? Not exposure within technical expertise, say when you've done a degree in, say, computer science, so a 3-year degree. Would you put what you covered within the technical expertise?
Yep, that's also possible, Carla. If you've gained those experience in the university, then you can include them.
Right.
So because those are things that you've learned and pretty much you can share when you get employed by employers, you can basically, or when you get an interview by employers, you can
Yeah.
share that with them, and you can, that's a good selling point of yourself. Yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
wonderful. Okay.
Right. Right. So after the technical expertise, that's when you proceed with the professional experience. Take note, we're still on the first page of the CV. As much as possible, we want to keep, if you are somebody who has a professional experience, you want to keep your professional experience on the first part or first page of the CV. You don't want to push them down to the second page because we want to highlight everything that could be highlighted on the first part. So in here, this is where you will talk about which company you joined, which specific role you were doing, and you can see in the right hand side the duration in the company,
Hmm.
and then you can list down all the tasks, the projects, the job description specific to that job that you did. So this is where we talk about the professional experience in details.
And with these, everything you've done, is that like you've put there in bullet pointed? So you just bullet pointed, not like massive paragraphs. Is that correct?
Yeah, because well, you can also do paragraph, Carla, but when you're doing it in bullet lines, it's easier to read, right? It's
Mm,
instead of making a paragraph and highlighting bits of information in there, I think it's easier to read. It's easier to find the information if we have several bullets. They don't have to be a complete sentence. They can be phrases, like what
mm,
you're seeing on your screen right now. They're the languages, programming languages are listed down, and when you look at the CV, you can easily say that, oh, I have just seen the skills or the skill set that I've been
mm.
looking for. So it's easier that way. Yeah.
Yeah. And I suppose, just on a side topic to this, when the HR department of a company or a recruiter is looking for a specific person, they want to be able to easily skim to go, oh,
Mm,
yep, I've got that. And then they start shortlisting or put, yes, no piles.
yep, that's correct. That's
Makes
correct.
it
So
easier.
when you have those skills, when you have those keywords easily available, then the chances of you getting a yes from the initial sifting of the CV is very big. You have a big chances of getting shortlisted because of those skills instead
Mm,
of having them in paragraph. Because when you have a paragraph, the reader has to read through them,
yes.
um, instead of just seeing the things listed. So it's better this way.
Yeah. I agree. It's cleaner. It's easier for your eyes to scan.
Correct, correct. And that's always the goal for us when we are writing our CV. It has to be very easy to read, because, like I
Mm,
mentioned earlier, the employers or the recruiters are dealing with a lot of CVs every job post that they create. So it's very important that our CV is very easy to read, and you can
mm,
easily find the information in just a glance of the CV. Yep.
mm. In that kind of that area of being easy to read, what would you say kind of font you'd use and sizes? Because obviously, just looking at this, you've got your heading sizes and how you put that. You've got your subheadings, and then you've got your main kind of like text copy. So,
Right.
what kind of font would you suggest? Maybe a 2 or 3 or 1,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
sizing when you're looking at that.
So I think when it comes to font size, I think 11 is pretty standard. It's being used in any document that you can find.
Mm,
When it comes to the font size, um, or the font style, it can either be Calibri or maybe Arial or Times New Roman. Anything that would be easy to read.
mm,
You don't want to use those uh, cartoon scripts or those informal types of CV,
yes.
because you're writing you're writing a professional CV, so you want it to look as professional as
Mm,
possible. And it would also help, Carla, if you can see the headers here, like the professional experience. They're kind of highlighted by they're on bold font, and
mm,
they're in all capital letters. This way, it's easier for the reader of your CV to find. If, for example, I'm a recruiter and I want to go straight to the professional experience, it would be easy for me to go ahead and go straight to the professional experience without
mm,
having a pain in the eyes looking for small fonts. Oh, where's
yes.
the professional experience? So, yep, that
Mm.
also helps. Yeah.
Wonderful, and I like it. I like the white space as well because it makes it easier again to scan and read everything. So no, oh, thanks
Yeah.
for that. Anyway, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Oh, what's the next
Yep.
one? Interests.
Okay. So for the interest, if I would suggest this part of the CV for those who do not have so much content to input in the CV or to include in the CV. So maybe if you're a software developer, maybe you can talk about your interest related to software development or whatnot, not necessarily professional experience, but something that would tell the reader of the CV that, oh, you're very keen on software development, you're very keen on business intelligence. So that's where you would want to put them. Okay.
Mhm.
So you want to avoid information like I like cooking, I like watching movies, those personal interests. They're not necessarily the information that the reader would like to see. So it's okay not to include them. Yeah.
Okay. So you're suggesting like not putting anything there that's outside the kind of work environment?
Yeah. So, um, outside of the the subject matter, I should
Right.
say, like
Mm.
since we're talking about software development in this specific CV, so maybe the CV writer can talk about he's very keen about learning new programming language, although he's not very proficient yet, but he's keen about learning that. He's keen
Mm.
about maybe web surfing to get more ideas about um, you know um, how 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 a software is, or how a software looks like, or how a website looks like. That case for the
Mm.
web developers.
And even stuff like if they attend or are part of a meetup, a meetup
Yeah.
that they have regular monthly meetups with
Yep.
a tech meetup or something like that, where they network and everything like that. I think that's quite cool to put in there too.
That's correct, Carly. Anything that would add substance to the subject matter, they can include it in the interest part of the CV.
Right. Okay.
And the last part for the CV would be the references.
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest to have it this way always, like available upon request, because we don't want to be randomly providing the information of our reference. Our references are usually from our university or our previous superior or somebody that we know who could tell good things about us. We don't want
Mm-hmm.
to be sharing their names and information, especially the contact number, randomly by indicating. So, a good professional CV would always indicate available upon request. That's pretty acceptable.
And then that would only be obviously available on request. That normally happens when it's in the last kind of stage, isn't it? When people are looking
Right,
at that history and wanting to have some feedback from maybe a past employer or something.
right. That's correct. So references will be asked when you reach the final stages.
Mm.
Sometimes before the job offer, before they give you the job offer, they kind of do reference check first before giving you out the job offer. So that's the time when we privately provide the name of our reference. So this
Okay.
part is just to inform the reader of the CV that I have reference, but I can provide them to you when necessary.
Right. Okay. So just before we go on to the cover letter side of things, if someone had, there are people, especially in our days, the people immigrating to other countries and everything like that, and they might have 10 years experience, but there's no local experience. What would a CV look like then? Obviously, you don't want to put all your, you know, 15 years ago you went to university and there.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
would that look like? Would you put your professional experience first and then your technical knowledge? What would be the best way to put that?
Okay, so I would always suggest to put the technical knowledge first before the experience or the unrelated experience,
Right.
because like what I've mentioned, we want to make sure that all the relevant information that a reader would like to see is in the first page of the CV.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to make sure that when somebody skimmed through your CV, they can right away see information that's relevant. Now, to add to that, Carla, if they have international experience, tendency is they have career gaps as well, right? They have
Mm.
career gaps, so it's also good to discuss that in the cover letter, which we will be talking right after the CV part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Wonderful. And what is the maximum amount of pages you should have as a CV, as a CV?
2 to 3 is it's a good one. I should say 3 is very long,
Mm.
especially if you're a junior type of candidate who's writing a CV. So it's understandable for those who have uh, 10 or 15 years of relevant experience. Those who are probably part of the senior level staff, uh, whom have already done a lot of projects in the past. It's forgivable to have 6 or more pages of CV, because they really need to indicate that, because maybe they're applying for senior roles.
Yeah.
So it has to be there. It has to be there. Otherwise, they won't be noticed. But if you're a junior, wanting to apply for a junior role, then 2 to 3 would be the maximum.
Mm. Yeah. Wonderful. Okay. Just needed that to be answered.
Yeah. Okay. Now, in every application, in every CV, comes with a cover letter. So it's pretty much a standard that there must always be a cover letter whenever we send out our CV, or we send out applications to a specific company.
Mm.
But we have to bear in mind that I've encountered some job postings that explicitly say no need to create cover letter. If that's the case, then we don't have to put so much effort in writing cover letter, because that means that the employers are not interested in your cover letter, and they want to see your CV right away. But
Right.
if they don't mention anything about cover letter, then it's understandable that they want to see your cover letter. The cover letter is like, it's pretty much like a summary as well, but a little bit longer. It's
Mm-hmm.
like you're trying to introduce yourself, like going back to our example earlier, when you get inside the room and you say hello to everyone, and then you're immediately asked to, okay, come in front and talk a little bit more about yourself. Now that's what your cover letter is. Now you're
Mm.
you're going to be talking about, you know, in this case, you're going to be talking about your interest on the job that you've seen, and you should talk about your qualifications as well. Like, you have this college or master's degree in information technology, and you have exposure in programming language that or you're comfortable of.
Mm-hmm.
And you also talk about in details, why do you have a career gap. Okay, so maybe you can explain that you moved to a foreign country, pursued your masters in foreign countries. That's why there's a bit of career gap, and
Mm.
that's the reason why
Mm.
you're wanting to find a job right now.
Yeah.
So
Another thing that we come up with a lot of the times is mothers coming back into the IT career. They've brought up their families. If their children have started school now, or they've been 2 years in school, and now they're ready to get back in. So this is the right kind of place to kind of like address the career gap, but
exactly.
not going down a rabbit hole, but just addressing, I had a career gap of 5 years due to raising my family or something like that.
Yeah, that's correct, Carla, because that's something that we cannot explain in the CV part.
Mm.
So we want to be able to cover that in the cover letter. It's it's in paragraph form. You can freely explain what happened. You had to take care of this and that, so it's okay. But we have to bear in mind that we don't want the cover letter to look like a thesis, multiple page thesis. So
Mm,
we want to keep it as short as possible. Suggested would be maximum of 300 words. I think this example that I've made right here is about a little bit over 200 words.
right.
So that's enough. I think you don't want to intimidate again the reader, because if they see that, oh, you have a full page of cover letter, and you don't want to give them an impression that they're going to read a novel.
Mm,
So you want to keep it as short as possible, and segment the body of the cover letter into different paragraphs, so that it's easier to read as well. We're not doing bullet points here, but we can have it in separate paragraphs, like what they can see in the screen right now. The first paragraph is talking about the job posting that the candidate has seen.
mm,
So he is talking about the interest in the first paragraph, and then second paragraph, that's where he is talking about the education and the core skills that he has. So doing it this way kind of makes it a little bit easier to read, although you're reading a paragraph, but it's easier to kind of sort things out, right?
yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
in the cover letter, obviously you obviously have got the job advertisement in front of you.
Mm.
So you should be linking it back to that job advertisement. So if they're wanting someone with JavaScript and C sharp, you would address that within the second paragraph that you have those skills
Mm.
as per the requirements. Is that correct?
Mm.
So
That's
is
correct,
this
Carla.
the place where you address what the needs are and then what you bring to the table?
Correct, correct. Yep. Good point. They can actually link the specific uh, job in the cover letter.
Mm,
Like what we've discussed in the CV, you don't have to put in the entire URL in there. You can have a simple, like, software developer, and then there's the link hidden in it, so that when the reader reads through it and click, it's gonna go directly to the job post, and it would be easier for them uh, to match your skills
mm,
against the job that they posted.
right.
um, yeah, because not all the time application goes straight to job boards. Wherein, I'm a recruiter, I go to specific job posting that I post and see applications. Sometimes there are employers who advertise their email address, and they usually say or indicate that if you're interested to apply, send in your cover letter and CV to this email address. So
Mhm.
if it's advertised that way, it's good to link the specific job posting, so that they would know what specific job you're applying for. Because
Right.
software developer, they might have posted several software development roles, so you want to direct the reader to the right job posting.
Right. Yes. Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah, right. And just like writing a normal letter, it should have the first part should have your address, or the applicant's address. Again, if you're not comfortable about being very specific about the address, you can just indicate the city and the country. And
Hmm.
of course, the phone number and email has to be there as well, because that's the only way for the recruiter or the employer to get back to us, and invite us for interview.
Hmm.
And then you want to indicate the person that you send out your application. So in the example, we are addressing the cover letter to Mr. Samuel Howard, head of IT services for ABC company. And then, just like any normal letter, you have to indicate the date that you intend to send the application, and the proper greetings has to be there as well.
And there's a point I want to ask you here. Sometimes there's no person to send it to. Okay, it might be just sending it to HR.
Yeah.
So where you say, "Dear Mr. Howard," what is the right way to put that there? I'm talking years ago, me applying for things.
Yeah.
Dear Sir/Madam. What is the best way? What is the way to do that? What to put there now?
Yep. So very good question, Carla. So if there's no specific person, you can just in the address part of the Cindy, you can just indicate head of IT services, ABC company, and then in the greetings part, you can either say you're correct, dear sir or madam, or you can also say to whom it may concern. Okay,
Right.
so that's pretty understandable because the job poster didn't indicate any specific person to address the cover letter to. So it's okay to to indicate dear sir, madam, or to whom it may concern. That's pretty polite enough.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. And then the second part of the cover letter is of course, you want to end your cover letter by either saying, if you're interested to hear more about my qualification, you can reach out to me through this contact number and this email. Or you can also indicate that, just to add a bit of, a bit of recommendation, maybe you can indicate that my former superior can attest to my best working attitude and can recommend myself as a suitable candidate for this role. So it's okay to say that. It's okay to say that. Yep.
Right.
And then you wanna end your cover letter by indicating your signature. And yep, that's how a good professional cover letter should look like.
Okay. I like the last line because some people do get stuck on how do I really, really finish it? It's hoping to hear back from you very soon. Or I look forward to hearing from you. Something
Yeah.
like that.
Yep. You can. Hmm. That's a polite way of ending. I think any letter, even when you're making a regular letter and not a cover letter, you want to end your mail like that. Even emails, even creating emails.
Yes.
When we are writing something to someone we're not acquainted with, we want to be polite by ending the message with that type of remark, like hoping to hear back from you very soon. Yeah, it's a very polite way of ending the message.
And just, it might be little for some people, but I think some people also want to know how to end it. You put sincerely. So there's different kind of things that people put sincerely or kind regards. What's the best to put in there, or regards, or what's the best, or yours faithfully, or
There's no specific rule on what should be there. I think regards would be okay as well. Sincerely is I've seen this very common. That's the one I use because it's the most common that I've seen throughout my recruiting experience. People would always say sincerely and then their name. So it's really up to them. Um, for as long as it sounds formal, it sounds polite, that is okay.
okay, wonderful.
Okay. So yes, so basically, in the cover letter usually comes first, and then the CV comes next. So CV is actually on the second page already. Cover letter being the first page.
Yes.
So, but again, if the employer explicitly say that no need to create cover letter, it's okay not to create cover letter. That
Okay.
means they want to see your CV right away. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. On to the next thing. So what this is, targeting the right job is the next topic, isn't
Okay.
it?
Yep. Targeting the right job. Basically, this is the most common error, especially right now. I think in this situation that we're in right now, it's very interesting times. People are in a rush to find a job because probably they might have been retrenched or they lost their job because of the situation. So they're in a rush to find a new job, so they kind of apply for anything that they encounter.
Yes.
It's a very wrong thing to do, I should say, because we don't want to be applying for a wrong job. Okay,
Mm.
not because you will not be selected, you will not be shortlisted. Not for that reason, but if in case you make it through the job offer and you're hired for the position that you're not very comfortable of, then you're going to struggle when you're in the
Mm.
job itself, because maybe you applied for a job that requires 5 years or more experience and you only have your internship experience. And typically, employers who are hiring those with 5 years or more, they have high expectation already, on the employee or on
Mm.
the applicant. So you don't want to set yourself to failure. So we want to be targeting the right job by focusing on what we're comfortable of.
Mm-hmm.
So when we see a job listed, usually there would be required and preferred skills. Now, the first thing that we have to look at is the required skills. The required skills would usually indicate the skills that are non-negotiable. Say, for example, for a case of business intelligence analyst, they require Tableau or Power BI or SQL. Now, if you are comfortable with those skills that are listed under required, then by all means you can go ahead and apply for them. Now, if you
Mm-hmm.
feel that you need more learning, you need to learn more about those skills listed. It won't make sense to apply because again, you don't want to be setting yourself to failure. Okay. So the difference between the required and preferred is the preferred skills are the ones that are negotiable skills, meaning they're good to have. It's good if you have them, but if you don't have them, it's okay. We
Mm.
can train you on that specific skills. We are willing to train you on that specific skills. All right. So it's okay to apply even if you're not very proficient with that skills. And another thing that I'd like to point out is if you are fresh from the university or fresh from your internship, or maybe you got uh, laid off from a job that you've been doing for 1 year and you only have that as an experience, then you want to focus on applying to jobs that require 0 to a maximum of 2 years experience
Mm-hmm.
required, or those are the jobs that typically accept entry level candidates. All
Right.
right. Yeah. If you see something like 3 years and up, then the expectation from the employer would be different. Chances are your application will not be shortlisted, or if in case your application is shortlisted, you might struggle in the end. You might struggle during the interview when you're asked about things that you don't know, or when you're lucky enough to hit the or to reach a job offer, you might struggle in the actual job itself.
Yeah. So if you saw a job, say, for argument's sake, you've done the internship with gone through our program, you've done the internship, you're in the internship at MVP Studio, our partnering company, then, and you saw an advert that said 2 years, at least 2 years experience in Power BI, then
Yep.
you would say, yeah, give it a shot, go for that, and do your CV up and your cover letter and go for that position.
Yep, that's correct, Carla. Because those who are listing the job as requiring 0 to 2 years experience, 2 years maximum, typically they're willing to train fresh graduates or fresh out of internship. So it's okay if they don't have 2 years of Power BI experience. They can go ahead and apply. And anyways, if their application is shortlisted, they can tell the interviewer during the interview that, I only have 6 months of internship experience. I need more guidance when it comes to this skills and that skills. So that should be fine. So the expectation of the employer is different from those that are coming in from the 3 years and up experience versus those with 2 years and below. If you only have, or if you have barely 2 years, they kind of consider you as entry level still. So that's the reason why we want to bucket it to 0 to 2 years.
Yes. That being said, local experience. Let's touch on that. Having that local experience to actually put on your CV, that is maybe a required skill. What do you find with, because you guys are in a lot of countries, dealing with a lot of different employers and stuff like that. What do you find with the local experience thing, that it's favorable when people are and potential employers are looking for people? Like I'm putting it like with a lot of people, like I said before, have immigrated to different countries and have come out of university too with a great degree, but no actual local commercial experience. Is that something in your field that is really looked upon as being preferential for employers to have?
So typically, Carla, when employers are posting a job that requires entry level or fresh graduate, it doesn't really matter if you have local experience or not. What matters to them is, you have that specific degree that they're looking for, or if you have that internship, that's also fine. So typically, if an employer lists 0 to 2 years experience required, they're not going to expect so much from the candidate. They're already expecting somehow that we will have to do a lot of training because that comes with the job requirement, which is accepting junior or fresh graduate candidates.
Right. Okay. Wonderful. So so that's required and preferred, correct?
Yep, that's required and preferred. Again, for the required, those are the non-negotiable skills, and the preferred, those are the negotiable skills, meaning it's good if you have them. That's to your advantage, but if you don't have them, it's okay. The employers will be willing to train you on those skills.
Would you say would you address that in a cover letter? That you realize that you have said preferred skills, or I'm just thinking, like, there are people that can pick up things very quickly and they have a learner's mindset and the great attitude. Would you suggest actually addressing that in the cover letter as well, to saying, look, I saw that you're within your advertisement that your requirement was just this bit. I've got everything else basically, but this bit. But I have a learner's mindset that I'm willing to learn. Do you suggest maybe putting something like that in the cover letter? Would you address it there?
Yep, you can also address that in your cover letter. So
Mhm.
you can say that I've read in your job post that you require the skills, and I believe that with my internship or with my experience in the university, I
Yeah,
have what it takes to be, to be
to fill your
taking
position.
the role, yeah, in the
Yeah,
position.
yeah. I've actually got a question here from Hardik Patel. Hardik's asking how to include keywords from the job description in the CV or cover letter. In which part of the CV or cover letter?
Hmm. So for the keywords, they must be present in the summary. Your keywords, your key core skills has to be in the summary. The detailed one should be in either in the technical expertise part or in the job description. Here's the thing, Carla. Whenever a recruiter or an employer search for a CV online and use those keywords, the more keywords that are present in the CV,
Mm-hmm.
the higher the chances of the CV appearing in the search. So
Right.
I'm not saying that they have to write in SQL everywhere in the CV.
Yeah,
Of course,
yeah.
you
SQL
don't want to
everywhere.
do that. Of course, you don't want to
Don't
do
do
that.
that.
But
Don't
just
do
a
that.
yeah, don't do that, but just a tip. I mean, do it reasonably. Like
Yeah.
you can put it maybe in the summary, in the expertise, and in the experience. But just a tip for you to be or to have a better visibility in the searches, you have to make use of those keywords. Not only in your CV, our CV is it works when one is searching through different job portals like Seek or Monster or Career Builder for North America. But if you're on if a recruiter is on LinkedIn, you have to have those skills listed on your headline maybe or in the
Yes.
summary maybe because the more keywords that you have, relevant keywords that are present in your profile or in your CV, the better chances of your profile appearing in the search.
Exactly. So, Hardik, I hope that's helped you and got answered that for you. So, in the part of the CVs in the summary or the technical, that you put your keywords, but don't put it everywhere. Obviously, yeah, as long as you got those keywords in there, that should be good for when they're searching, when they're looking for those key kind of like skill
Right.
set. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So I don't see any other questions. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Lew. Is there anything else that you'd like to say here? There's one thing I wanted to address, and I think we've spoken about this before. And you kind of like touched on the thing, with the times that we're in, and people applying for jobs and targeting the right job. That not to spam a lot, not to just dump a lot of CVs out in the marketplace. It's quite interesting because people are connected and companies are connected, and you start to see the sameness of like people just applying for all these jobs, but not being thoughtful in the application of applying. What's your take on that? I know some people say, "Oh, I've applied for 30 jobs this week." I would love to hear from you as to what you as a recruiter would think about that.
Well, I also suggest for the job seekers, for the candidates, to send as much application as possible because we'll never know. We might, we might send an application to someone who would be interested in our application, but we just don't send CVs for the sake of sending CV, for the sake of sending application. We wanna include sincerity when we send out application. When you send out something, you're fresh out of the university, you have 6 months experience, and you send an application for something that requires 10 years of experience. You applied for that. As a recruiter, as a reader, I would think that, oh, this person is not very serious at all. I would wonder if he even bothered to read the job description, because he sent out an application and he should know that this job requires 10 years of experience. So while it's good to be sending a lot of application because it's a numbers game right now, but there must be, or it has to be accompanied with sincerity. We have to make sure that what we're applying for, we've really thought about it, we've really read through it, and we base our cover letter, or we tailor fit our cover letter in every job application that we send applications to.
Yes, yes. Another kind of question I wanted to ask. Oh, Hardik says thank you. You answered his question very well. That's awesome. Fantastic, Hardik. What was that question? Do you suggest changing the summary in your CV with each application? You've got your cover letter to match the job description or the advertisement. Do you suggest any changes in your CV when you're applying for other positions?
I would certainly suggest they do that, because if our application that we send, we have to make sure that we are highlighting the core skills that the reader would like to see. So if a recruiter, if an employer listed a job that requires, let's say, C#, and your CV does not include C# in your summary, then you want to include that in your summary this time, right?
Okay.
Because again, you want your core skills, you want the relevant keywords to be present in the very first part of the CV, which is the summary, the technical expertise, and the working experiences. So every application, we must tailor fit our CV and cover letter in every application that we send out.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because I know that sometimes a lot of times I've seen things like this where the people don't tailor-make their CV to the position that they're going for. And obviously, when you said it's a numbers game and people are in the season of just, going for it, take that time to be professional and put that the CV together, tailor-make it for that position, for each position, and then obviously your cover letter goes with that to address the requirements.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's correct, Carla.
Yeah. Another thing, I've said this to a lot of our participants too, is I'd love to hear what your take on this as well. In our country, different countries, there's specific sites. Like in New Zealand, we have Seek and Trade Me. Those are the two big ones. Obviously, in other countries, I've got other kind of like sites for jobs. I've also always suggested to people to think about, like, who would you love to work for, and research them, and why not step out and introduce yourself in some way to the HR and just have a chat with them, and then if they're cool with you going to put your CV into them, why not? What are your suggestions? Because let's be different in the season,
Right.
Have you got any suggestions?
Yeah. So basically, that's I think that's what LinkedIn is for. So LinkedIn connects professionals worldwide, not only in our locality, but in any part of the globe. So we can connect with people from Australia, from Singapore, from Hong Kong, from anywhere. So this is the right time to connect with people, because we're meeting globally, we're meeting virtually rather. So it's good to broaden the connection, and who knows, that person might have an opening or job opening suitable for you in the future, especially when all these things is done, and we can have global mobility already, so people can start moving in and take opportunities in the other parts of the world. That would be an awesome idea. Yeah.
Yes.
So connect with people on LinkedIn, introduce yourself. Even if they don't have jobs listed, just introduce yourself. That you wanna just broaden your
Network.
network,
Yeah.
expand your network, and just be polite. I hope we can be connected. You don't have to right away tell the person you're trying to connect to you don't have to tell him or her right away that you're looking for a job. It's okay. It's okay to do that as well, but just try to expand your network, and it's like uh, readying for the future.
Yes, yes, exactly. So that's a good point as well. Everyone, get your LinkedIn profile all up to date and that summary put in there, because when you are networking and broadening your network, people start looking and they'll look at what that summary that you've put in LinkedIn. Have a nice profile on there, look professional so that you are seen. So that's a good point as well. So use all those areas that people are connecting with to find people to fill positions or looking for jobs. Like, get that LinkedIn profile all up to date with where you're at right now in this moment, because when you start putting your CV out there, applying for jobs, and you've got your LinkedIn hyperlinked, then you want that to look really, really good.
Correct.
Yeah.
And another thing that I'd like to mention, Carla, um, the employers or recruiters who are doing search or resume or CV search on LinkedIn, they know if your profile is active or not. So they can see if you've been constantly updating your profile, and the chances of you being shortlisted is pretty high if you're trying to update your LinkedIn from time to time.
Oh, that's really interesting to know that, hey? Very, very interesting. So there you go, everyone. Get that LinkedIn profile all up to date, and even share some of your things, your
Correct.
blogging and everything like that. Just start doing that. It creates a momentum for you, and you're putting yourself out there, and people can see you. So, anything else, Lew? Any other tips to be seen?
I think I've covered pretty much everything, unless you have questions from the audience.
No other questions, but I will say, everyone, if you do have questions, I know sometimes, you watch things and then after it finishes, you want to ask questions. Oh, I should have asked that. Just comment in the comments and the team will get back to you anyway. Or what you can do is you can just maybe even go on look at our registration page, apply there if you're interested in any of our programs, anything like that, and then we can help and we can answer any questions for you as well. But there's no more questions at the moment here, so we're going to sign off, everyone. I hope you have enjoyed that, and if you watch this replay, I'd love to see how many people watch the replay as well. So in the comments, put #replay, and then we'll see you have gone through the replay, and ask your questions in the comments and we'll answer as best as we can. Okay, well, thank you so much for your time, Lew, and awesome tips. Thank you so much. I think that was really, really good, helping people to kind of like put their best foot forward in applying for jobs.
It's my pleasure, Carla, to be able to share information, especially in this very trying situation, so we can help each other.
Exactly. And everyone, Lew's going to be back. I don't know whether it'll be next week, maybe the week after, with some other valuable information. And we won't tell you just yet, but you will catch up with us as we put our event page up when Lew comes back. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for watching, and thanks so much again, Lew. We'll see you all again next Tuesday evening. Okay, bye.
Thanks, Carla. Thanks, everyone.